Hello everyone, this is Debbie Henderson from Debbie's Designs. Welcome to November 2017 Paper Pumpkin. If you remember correctly, this box coordinates with the one we received in October. And I wanted to show you, before I show you what's inside, what I did with my box last month, because you didn't get to see that on my video. But see how I decorated that? This plaid is so pretty. And the same with this new one. I'm going to do something with this one also. I'm not sure quite yet what I'm going to do. But all I did on this one was I added the shaker in the front and then added some additional products from Stampin' Up. They came out pretty nice. So let's see what's in this month's box. Looks like the stamping spot is Dapper Denim. And the stamp set, let me get a piece of white cardstock. Let It Snow, Joy, Merry and Bright, and then a couple small images, a snowflake and a tree, and then a to and a from to use on tags. Let's open this up. Now I did get to see a sneak peek, so I know that this is stockings this month. And look how cute. It looks like there's 10 of them. Let's open this up to see what's inside. And I know the Stampin' Up video came out also. So if you haven't seen it, make sure you look for it. So these are all the stockings. It looks like they're inside out to me, which kind of looks neat anyway with all of the stitching on the outside. But then if you flip it over, that's giving me some ideas because I like this too. But this is what it's meant to look like. You have some clothespins, some red baker's twine, and then on the inside of the packaging, we have some tags that have snowflakes and trees. And it looks like we have 1, 2 that have the pre-printed. So you have 10 extra tags right here that you can do something with. And then you have 10 more that are plain to do some stamping on. These are the cute little branches. I'm going to pop one out just to show you what they look like. So those are kind of cute. And there's a lot of those on here. I bet there's probably 30 of them. I haven't read what's inside the box. And then you have these red banners, which there's 10 of those also. So let's assemble one of these stockings together, and then I'll try to show you some alternatives. Oh, and here's some glue dots. So I'm going to bring in the one that was already pre-folded over for me. I noticed that it's a little square here on the heel, so I'm going to take my bone folder only because I'm fussy that way. I just want this to be nice and rounded. Let's see, that worked. And again, right here also. So there, that's nice and round. And you can decide if you want to face the stocking this way or this way. I think I want mine to go this way. We're going to bring in some of the twine and one of the clothespins. I'm probably going to repeat some of the tips because I do this every month when we have twine. Notice that there's a lot of bumps, so I'm just going to take my bone folder and smooth that out. And then what you're going to do is put the twine, open up the clothespin and put the twine on the inside. And then we're going to tie a bow on the front, except mine didn't go in the front. Okay, let's try this again. I do have the twine inside. It got stuck in the metal part there. That's why I couldn't get it to go to the middle. So we're just going to tie a bow with the twine. And if you don't like to tie a bow, you can always do a double knot instead. Okay, my loops are really big, so I'm just going to pull them in and shorten them a little bit. And then we'll bring in some scissors. Okay, so there's the bow on the clothespin. Next, we're going to bring in, I'm going to use my large ink pad, the Dapper Denim. Now for each stocking, you're going to need one of the white banners, a red one, 2 of the little branches, and then you can just choose which sentiment you want. And we're going to stamp that right below the snowflake. And then for the glue dots, we're going to put one at the top and one not quite at the bottom. If you heard any noise in the background, that was my kitty cat just popping in. We're going to leave a little bit of red peeking at the bottom. So just center that and then press it in place. And then for the branches, we're going to again use the glue dots. And one's going to go right on the top. And the other one is going to be glued behind the banner. So these are pretty simple. And then all you do is add it to your stocking even with the top. And then add your clothespin to hold that in place. Now how cute is that? And of course, I have some alternative projects for you. So let me clear my counter. For my first alternative projects, I'm going to use powder pink and cherry cobbler inks instead of the dapper denim. I'm going to show you a card that I made that I haven't posted on my blog yet, so you'll be seeing right off. I used the Merry Little Christmas designer paper, which has the same plaid as our kit this month. And I actually used a sponge dauber or a stamping sponge, and I colored the designer paper to look like this. Isn't that pretty? So I'm going to do the same thing with the stocking. Let me bring in a piece of scrap. And before I turn this inside out, I want to color the plaid while it's all nice and flat here. So I'm going to use the same color I used on the card, which is the powder pink. And look how nicely this colors. When I saw in advance what our projects would be, I had just completed the card that you saw, and I actually have 2 other coordinating items that go with that card. So you'll see that on my blog. I can't remember, within the next week or so, I believe. I'm using it for a blog hop. So I'm just coloring this in. Make sure you go over the black also, because you have the tiny little white lines, or the black lines there with some white showing through. Now I'm going to flip this over and do the other side. So you can see how easily this colors with the ink and the sponge. And you can actually use any other color. I actually did the powder pink, and I also did Pacific Point for another project. So that one hasn't posted on my blog yet either. Okay, we're almost done here. Okay, so now we're going to turn the stocking inside out. And again, I'm going to bring my bone folder to help out. So the reason we had to ink that first is because it's going to be on the wrong side when you open up or reverse your stocking. And then when you fold the cuff over, you'll see the color, the pink color. Okay, now we're going to turn this over. And voila, now you have a colored stocking. I'm going to add a little bit more pink right here where I noticed I didn't go as dark. Okay. Now I'm going to bring in 2 of the branches. And I've already gone ahead and added a bow to the clothespin. And again, we're going to do the cherry cobbler banner and the white banner. I'm going to bring in the cherry cobbler ink to do my sentiment. So I'm going to add that around the middle. And then to coordinate the powder pink that I used at the top of the stocking, I'm going to do the little snowflake image. And I'm just going to fill in. And don't worry about going over the sentiment because it still shows quite nicely through that. Okay, so I've gone ahead and stamped that. Now this time I'm going to kind of do my banner kitty corner. So I'm going to add one up here. Whoops. I think I'll add 3 just to make sure that they stay stuck on the white banner. So that one's going to go like this. And now we're going to add the branches. I'm just doing this as I go along. I haven't planned ahead, so I think I'm going to tuck this branch like that. And then we'll add one more off to the side. I'm trying to use these glue dots because that's what you guys have in your kit. Normally I'd dig out my liquid glue. Okay, so we'll add, whoops, I turned it upside down. Okay, and then this is going to go right here. And we now have a powder pink stocking. So that's alternative project number 1. Let's move on to number 2. Now for stocking number 2, I'm going to be using the lightest color of our Blendabilities markers, and this is the Daffodil Delight. I'm also going to be using Moon Baby, so you can guess that I'm doing something for baby. I'm going to be using the Hello Baby and the star images. We're also going to need basic black ink, only because I want to match the black in the plaid. And then something that I've gone and cut ahead is this little bow from the mini treat bags Thinlits dies, and I just glued it to the clothespin. So let me bring in a scrap piece of paper, and we're going to use the Blendabilities marker, and again, you could use any color. I'm choosing yellow. I did just find out I'm going to be a Grammy again soon in March. It's going to be another girl, but I'm going to keep this yellow in case you want to do a baby project for a baby shower that you don't know the gender yet. Okay, I'm going to flip this over and do the same thing. So the blendability, or I call them blendabilities, that's the old name. The blends, the stamping blends. You can see that how nicely they color on here. And they're not even going through to the other side of the fabric. And one other thing I'm going to color is, I'm going to use 2 of the white banners. I'm going to color one completely in yellow. And what I like about these markers, they don't leave any lines like you see with our Stampin' Right markers. This will be a solid yellow. Whoops, you'll see as it dries, it gets, it looks so much better. So I'm going to use 2 banners again on this one. Okay, so we'll let that dry. Now let's bring in this banner. And I'm going to use the So Saffron ink because I feel this is the light daffodil. I feel that this is closer than using the brighter color of the daffodil ink pad. And I'm just going to add some stars. And you can see how dark that is to begin with, just using the So Saffron. Let's add one more right here. And then we're going to bring in the basic black. That says Hello Baby. And then I'm just going to glue that like this. So let's go ahead and glue that in place. Before I do that, I actually die cut some clouds. I don't know how many I'm going to use from the Up and Away dies. These two clouds right here. I cut a couple of those. And I'll bring in my liquid glue. I'm probably only going to use 2 of these. And then we'll just trim them. And now I'm going to bring in some stamping dimensionals, this time for height. And let me get a tissue to wipe my counter. I have a little bit of glue here and I don't want to get it on my project. Okay, now all we have left to do is to, of course, do our stocking again, turn it inside out. See how much easier that is with a bone folder. And then we're going to flip the cuff. Now, because I want to do a little baby booty, I'm going to bring the cuff all the way down to where it changes colors, because I want a baby booty rather than a stocking. And then we'll bring in the little clothespin. And then I think I want to add a few rhinestone jewels. So let's bring those in. And I'm just going to add a few to the background. Not sure where I want this yet, right here. Okay, and there's my little baby booty. Isn't that cute? And you could actually fit a gift card inside of this, I believe. I haven't tried it yet, but there's my baby booty. And you could make this in pink or blue, any color that you want. The light green would look good. So let me clear my counter and start on project number 3. Now for my next project, I actually experimented a little bit. I added some ink, re-inker, chocolate chip in a bowl of water. And I tried to dye the stocking, but as you can see, it didn't come out very dark. So I'm going to resort back to the sponging. And you know what? Now that I've dried this, I dried this with my heat tool because it was quite wet. It just didn't saturate with color. And I'm sure you could use like the Rit fabric dyes. But I think I'm actually, instead of sponging, I'm going to use my brayer. I know that we no longer sell the brayer in our Stampin' Up! Catalog, but I'm sure most of you have one. And yes, this is going to work a lot better. So I'm just going to keep applying the color. And I won't watch you, have you watch me do this. I'm going to pause my video and I'm going to keep adding color until this is dark enough to my liking. I'm back, and as you can see, I finished brayering the chocolate chip ink color on my stocking, and I did do both sides. I ended up using my heat tool to dry it, just so I wouldn't get it all over the place while I was working on it. I do have a lot of stains on my fingers, but that's from brayering. And I did, once I was done brayering, I did take the sponge just to smooth everything out, and that's where I get so dirty. So I think maybe you can guess what I'm making with this one now. I'm going to tell you what other pieces we need. I used the vintage leaves die to cut 2 with chocolate chip. I cut 2 strips of red glimmer paper, measuring 3/4 of an inch wide by 4 inches. I have 2 circles with the 3/4 inch circle punch with the red glimmer paper and also with basic black. And then I have 2 circles with the Whisper white cardstock cut out with a 1-inch punch. I've gone ahead and prepared one of my clothespins. And lastly, I stamped the to and from on just the plain white tag, and I'm going to cut this to make it a little bit shorter. So let me show you what I'm going to do with all these layers. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm using these for ears. I'm going to bring in my paper snips and just round off the bottom and cut off the stems. And then I want them to be facing each other because we're going to put them like one on top and one on the bottom. They have to be the same shape. So you don't want to flip one over because they won't match up. Let's add some liquid glue. Hold on. Let me wipe that. I do have to flip it over just to add the glue. Let me bring in my glue remover. I almost messed that one up. Okay, now I'm going to position the first one where I think I want it. That's going to go right here. And then I'm carefully going to place that over and glue both of them together. Okay, so that's the ear. So now you really know what I'm going to create. I'm going to bring in the strips of red glimmer paper, and I've already added tear and tape on the reverse side. And I'm going to glue that even with the top of the plaid. I'm going to do the same thing with the other one on the reverse side. Okay, it doesn't quite line up on the reverse side, but that's okay. And then I'm going to bring in my stapler and just staple the 2 ends together. And then that's where the clothespin would come in. I would put my tag like right here and then use the clothespin. I would stick some candy or something on the inside and then close it off with the clothespin on the bottom. Now let's do the 2 eyes. And I'm going to place the black so it's right on the edge. So you're just showing just a little bit right here. I think it looks funky when you glue them directly in the center. Move this one down just a tad bit more. So that's going to go about here. And then we'll do the same thing with the nose. I'm not going to go right on the edge on one end because his nose is going to stick out a little bit. Okay, I'm not going to do the other side because I want to let this dry before I flip it over. My last step is to bring in the chalk, Stampin' Chalk marker. And I'm just going to start right up here and then just drag it down and make a little swirly. And that's it on that one. So all I have left to do is glue this to the reverse side. But as you can see, everything else is staying glued down very nicely. And that makes a nice little horsey stocking for any child. I'm sure I'm going to be making more projects, but that's all I wanted to show you today. And one other thing I meant to show you inside the box, when you open it, there is a message there for us that says, how do these 2 amazing kits come together into one project? We'll show you. Join us for a Facebook Live event on November 21st at 6 p.m. We'll feature alternative projects you can find anywhere else. Don't miss it. Now, I know you're probably going to see that message after the 21st when you view my video. I've been away because my husband had knee replacement surgery, so I'm a little bit late on my video this month. But even though it was a live video, it should still be available for you to watch on the Stamping Out Paper Pumpkin Facebook page. So make sure you visit, like their page, and become a follower. If you have any questions, please send me a message, and make sure to sign up for Paper Pumpkin December by December 10th. I would love to have you as one of my Paper Pumpkin customers. Thanks to all of you that joined last month, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.